Welcome to the Brutally Honest Show. I am Aaron True, 2010 MMA Journalist of the Year nominee, joined as always by Jonathan King from the Clinch Report and Adrian Gallegos, our master engineer. Tonight we have on Jiu-jitsu expert, 10th Planet Jiu-jitsu founder Eddie Bravo, talking about the Palhares scandal, Eddie Bravo Invitational coming up next week, and much, much more. We also have Beneil Dariush, who is going to be facing Micheal Johnson in the co-main event at the UFC this weekend. A huge fight. So we have two big-name guys, a lot of stuff. We're going to jump right into it with UFC 190. Well, you know what? I have a lot of problems in my life, Clinch. I got a lot of problems. But you know what Ronda Rousey doesn't have a problem with? Can you sing with me a little bit here?
Sure. Let's do it.
Bet you ain't won.
Bet you ain't won. Bet you ain't won.
What did you think about the Ronda Rousey fight? 34 seconds? Did you think it was too short? Was it to the point? What was your opinion on the fight?
I was decisive.
But she did take a lot of damage in 34 seconds, as much as she also gave damage. Ronda had 99 problems going into this fight, but I bet she wasn't one. No. All the media obligations, the ability, like everyone, just all the talk about Cyborg, the distractions, the personal stuff being brought into it. Yet once again, not only does she succeed, she does something she hasn't done before. Even though people will say that she has had a one-punch KO, I mean, this was different. She went toe-to-toe in an exchange, and she showed a great clinch, a knee to the stomach, and then she landed the huge KO punch to the temple. It was diverse.
In this fight, she eats some shots and still Pitbulls pushes Bet Correa backwards the entire time, controlling the action, controlling the pace of the fight. And this is one of Anthony Hardonk always says this: if you can control the distance and the pace, you can control pretty much every aspect of the fight. So she did a great job of doing that, of just pushing her around. I thought it was a great job.
Yeah, I thought it was really impressive the way she battled, even though it wasn't against, a top-class opponent like herself. And I think Cyborg in the clinch would be a different story. We're going to bring on Eddie Bravo, but we're going to talk about the Palhares situation.
Yeah, oh my God. This he just makes you gasp. He really does. It's the fifth, sixth time he's done something like this.
Plus the eye gouging. The eye gouging is insane. Not only that.
I a clean fighter. Ass, you're a clean fighter, dude.
So you don't think that you should hold the submission that long and wait for the ref to pull you off, that there's some sort of gentleman's agreement that should be done?
Listen, it's like Joe Lozon said in that great breakdown that he did. There is something to say about your opponent tapping on you that should be the happiest moment of your life.
We're going to bring on an expert on this to give us a real opinion, a man known as the inventor and founder of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu and a musical expert and artist. He was able to defeat Ralek Gracie technically only once, but in my opinion twice, absolutely dominated Gracie. And he's also, like I said, the founder and inventor of 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, which is featured with affiliates all around the country and world. Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie Bravo. Eddie, how are you?
Thanks. I'm good, man. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being on the show. So, Eddie, first we'll jump into this. Let me ask you, what did you think about the Palhares fight in terms of, did you think he held the sub too long?
He definitely held it too long, for sure.
What did you think
it's
about?
Kind of weird, though. Isn't it kind of weird, though, that, he definitely held it on for too long. He has mental problems, 100%. Of all that, everybody agrees on that. But isn't it kind of weird when he held it way too long, and then Jake Shields gets mad at him and punches him for holding it on too long? Isn't it kind of, it's just, I love Jake Shields to death. It's just very, it's weird. You know what I mean? Remember when Tank Abbott beat up, I think it was Cal Worship. I think it was Cal Worship. Tank Abbott beat him up so bad, the ref stopped it. He kept hitting him. He hit him a couple times extra, and then Cal Worship he wanted to fight Tank Abbott for beating him up too much. You know what I'm saying?
Now let me ask you this, Eddie. The Alex Davis and Palhares' camp said that a lot of the supposed eye gouges were, I mean, you're a jiu-jitsu expert, so your opinion would be great on this. The eye gouges were a result of him using his hand to press away the face to create space. How much of that is an excuse? Because to me, it looked like he was literally trying to dig his thumb into his eye at one point.
Yeah, did you see Jake Shields' eyes afterwards? His eyes are fucked up from that. Yeah, Palhares got problems, 100%. He got problems.
Do you think that he went full potato?
What's full potato?
It's an expression on the UG that they use. You never go full potato.
Eddie, I have a quick question. Do you think it's a matter that, he's been, in the past, he had a submission and he apparently let go too early and they kept the fight going? Do you think it's maybe he's holding on to it because he's been burned before?
No, man. It's definitely because he has something's up with. He's not your average person. Something's up. I mean, everybody says it. People that train with him, his camp. I mean, people that know him. Everyone says the same thing. Well, got his screw loose.
They say this in football all the time. But football's a little bit, I guess, more popular. But they say he's got $1 million body, but a 10-cent head, and I think this is the perfect example of that. The guy's he's not all there.
Yeah. So, what did they say they were going to suspend him or something?
Yeah, they stripped him of his title, and he's suspended from the company indefinitely, and he's also got a temporary suspension by Nevada as well.
So does Jake Shields.
So does Jake as well.
Oh, for punching him?
Yeah.
But they said they might make the fight a no contest now as well. You don't know. It's possible. Well, so
yeah.
Eddie, let me ask you a question. Speaking of Palhares, who's known for a lot of leg locks, tell me about 10th Planet, how you guys have continued to evolve, where you haven't stayed stagnant and your system has developed. What's changed in the last few years, if anything, and how do you not only keep up with, but stay ahead of the game as like a trendsetter?
I don't know if we're ahead of the game as a trendsetter. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought about it that way. But recently we've gotten extra heavy as an association, gotten extra heavy on leg locks. I've always welcomed leg locks. We never banned sweeping or heel hooks from day one. We've always had our leg lockers in class. There's always one or two in class that are really into leg locks, sometimes 3 or 4. But recently, after I'm looking at the success that Eddie Cummings has had with leg locks and Gary Conan, I didn't know leg locks had high levels like that. If you don't know who Eddie Cummings is, that guy is incredible. He's in my opinion, the Marcelo Garcia of leg locks. And, he made it so that we as an association, 10th Planet, we studied his game, studied his movements, which, he's a John Danaher prodigy. John Danaher systemized the leg lock game. Dean Lister introduced him to. So, we're dumping on that too. We're getting extra heavy on leg lock.
All right. Well, hey, Eddie, let me ask you a question. You competed in Metamoris. You competed against Ralek Gracie. This is kind of a personal question, but did they pay you? Because there's been a lot of rumors lately that fighters or competitors did not get paid from the last event.
Yeah, Joe Lozon supposedly didn't get paid in full. A couple other guys said they haven't gotten paid at all. This is like epidemic, it's sounding like.
Well, I got paid. Metamoris 3, the show that I fought on, that one was pretty successful. So I think everyone got paid there. It was the shows after that started the slow decline.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Eddie. Bringing back the last actually Metamoris event, there was a little bit of a controversy because the timing around Mr. Gracie's offering of these contracts that refused them to compete in other places like the EBI, your tournament, it came right before the EBI. And he claimed it was coincidental or whatever, but it seemed like a shot directly at your tournament itself. Did you take it that way as well?
Absolutely. He's strategically trying to sabotage my show. I mean, the excuse he used was like, hey, the UFC offers exclusive contracts. You know, we're doing exactly what they're doing. Like, no, you're not. You went after Gary Tonin and Dylan Dennis, the two stars of EBI 3, and the two guys that we were building the most. Luckily, Gary Tonin told him to go fuck himself. And but, you know, we lost Dylan, and Dylan signed this exclusive contract, and he's the only guy in Metamorph that signed an exclusive deal. Come on, he's this saying that the UFC offer is all about exclusive contract is just a distraction. He strategically went after my show.
Yeah, it seemed kind of funny to me that afterwards he came out and said that that Gary walked away from a contract that was going to pay him over $100,000 for 12 metamorphoses, and there has only been one since then. And now all these people aren't getting paid. So exclusive contract where you don't get paid means nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where's Dylan's contract now, you know? What's going on with it now? I'm curious to find out.
Well, hey, Eddie, moving on to a positive subject, tell us, how happy are you with Ben Saunders' success, the Killer Bee? And give us a little bit of a breakdown on what you recently posted about, I believe it's his guard game.
What did I post? Oh, the breakdown?
Yes.
What was the question?
Tell me a little bit about Killer Bee, Ben Saunders, just about what you're impressed with in terms of his game and what he's used from your system.
Man, you know, Ben came to me. He was using a form of rubber guard for years. It wasn't anything that I was playing. If you're a rubber guard player, you know there's so many different positions, and it's not just throw your leg up and grab your foot. You know, there's so many different positions and so many configurations. It's a very complex and sophisticated system. He was doing some stuff that I wasn't really playing, but he was having some success with it, and I didn't really want to tell him get him off the course that he was at and show him like my style. I just thought, you know what, he's having success with the style of rubber guard he's playing. But then it kind of like hit a dead end. Maybe he needed more options, because when you play rubber guard, there's so many positions. Like I said, there's so many options, so many different styles. All the top rubber guard players, they play different styles. It's different style of rubber guard. So complex, like I keep saying. So then was at Bellator for a while, and then when he got signed back to the UFC, he had seen that video that I made with Hickson, and he realized that he was playing it different than I was, and so he wanted to try playing it like I was playing it. So he direct messaged me on Twitter and said, "Hey man, I'm making a comeback to the UFC. I want the rubber guard to be a big part of it. When are you going to be in Florida next?" And I said, "I don't have anything planned in Florida, but I got a rubber guard expert out there named Tyler Woolsey," and I hooked them up. And after a day of getting together, Ben contacts me and says, "Oh shit, I've been doing it totally different. I want to come out and do a camp with you." And then he started flying out, and he's been out like 4 times, I think, so far. And it's just been such a pleasure to work with. Not only did he come to me already a black belt, he's a black belt in the Ricardo Laborio, but he came to me with flexibility, and leg dexterity, really good striking, you know, and all I did was just, you know, reform his guard and restructure it, and give him some new habits and new DNA in his guard, and it's so far so good, man. That the last 3 fights he's had in the UFC, all 3 had rigid rubber guard. Even that Joe Ricks fight, where Joe Ricks took him down and tapped because he tweaked his neck on the takedown, he was already in rubber guard when he was being tapped. So if he didn't tap, he would have saw a big display of rubber guard, in my opinion. So far so good.
Yeah, Eddie, we're going to put up a graphic now on the screen of the EBI coming up. Can you please give us a breakdown of what to expect, who's competing, the prize, just an overall quick breakdown of it and what you have coming up?
Okay, EBI 4 is coming up Saturday, August 15th You can watch it on pay-per-view at BudoVideos.com.
Oh,
It
nice.
starts at 7 o'clock. Or you can go downtown L.A. at the Orpheum. That's where we're having it. You can go to Ticketmaster and get your tickets there. What we do at EBI, we do one 16-man bracket super tournament at a time. So when you watch one 16-man tournament at a time, it's like a movie. That's why everyone got so addicted to the UFC. If UFC 2 or 1 or 2 would have been single fight, I don't think I would have been into it as much. We need to see a tournament, and especially UFC 2. It was a 16-man tournament. It was a documentary in itself. You know, you might not know the first round, like all 16 fighters, that first round, but by the end, by the semifinals and the finals, you know everything about those fighters. So, and then, there's a big climax at the end. And when you look at a tournament like that, that is the most way to look at a tournament. One match at a time, not 12 matches going on at the same time. One match at a time, 16-man tournament. This EBI 3 was the welterweight, and Kerry Conan won that. You can go to YouTube right now and watch EBI 3 for free. We put that one up for free. Just punch in YouTube search Eddie Bravo Invitational EBI 3. You can watch that for free. Read the comments first.
Sweet.
Comments are unbelievable. EBI 4 is going to be the featherweight, and the featherweight champion is Gio Martinez. He won EBI 1. He won EBI 2.
Oh,
He's
wow.
I'm excited to see him.
he's had
Looks at
he's had 8 matches so far, 7 submissions, but I was talking about Eddie Cummings. Eddie Cummings is on the other side of the bracket. So we got Gio Martinez, my black belt, who's Russian, who's the current champion, who's smashing, who submitted everybody at the ADCC trial earlier this year and is going to Abu Dhabi 2 weeks after EBI. He's going to be on the opposite side of the bracket. Eddie Cummings, the best leg locker in the game, and he also is going to Abu Dhabi 2 weeks later, and he also submitted all 3 of his opponents in the trials earlier this year. So, on top of having Gio Martinez on one side and Eddie Cummings on the other side, we also got Joao Miao of the Miao twins. He's a no-key guy. Paulo, rather, is more the key guy, and Joao is the no-key guy.
Oh,
He
nice.
just went with. He's in there too, as well as Barry Yoshida, who he was an EBI 2 at 155, and he did fairly well. But his real weight's 145. So even though he's 40 years old, Barry Yoshida at 145, he could take the whole thing. That guy's super dangerous. He's an absolute assassin at finishing no-key. His crucifix choke is probably the best in the world. So you got right there at the corners, and filling in the bracket. We just filled it with nothing but black belts, Eddie Fivey, Russ Neria, Joe Tudor. We even got UFC fighter Joe Soto in there. So it's going to be an amazing 16-man tournament, one match at a time. And we also have 3 female super fights.
Who's competing for the females?
Well, in EBI 3, I had 4 12-year-old girls, 4 of the best 12-year-old girls on the planet. So Jessica went against Cora Seck. She armbarred her. And then Alyssa Wilson went against Grace Gundrum. Grace won in overtime. So what I'm doing this time is I'm taking Grace and I'm putting her against Jessica. I'm putting both winners together. So Jessica versus Grace Gundrum, both winners. And I'm also putting both losers together. Alyssa Wilson against Cora Seck. So they get another shot. And then I'm also featuring the first women's match at EBI. It's going to be Brazilian star. She's a brown belt. She's awesome. Her name is Thalita Alencar. She's going against one of the best 10 planet females in the world, Akira Batara. So,
All right, awesome. Well,
yeah.
Eddie, we know you have class starting in just a couple of minutes, but thank you so much for your time. Last thing. So you think that Palhares, how did you think he got that body? Do you think it's, I hate to use the word, but mentally handicapped person strength? Or do you think that he was genetically altered? Or, that he did something?
Well, you know what? A large percentage of MMA fighters are on supplements. So, I mean, some are more obvious than others.
All right, Eddie. Well, thank you so much, and have a great class tonight. Everyone, this is Eddie Bravo. You can check out on pay-per-view Budo videos. EBI 4 coming up soon. Thanks a lot, Eddie. I really appreciate it. August 15th, right?
Yes, Saturday, August 15th, 7 o'clock.
All right, thanks a lot, Eddie. Awesome.
Thank you.
Eddie Bravo. Doesn't get any better than that guy. The founder of the 10th Planet System, a freaking legend in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, man. God.
Yeah, so that was pretty interesting to hear his take on the Palhares situation, that a lot of people say he's not all there, but they won't really elaborate on that.
Well, that's the thing. It's 5 or 6 or 7. How many, Adrian? 8 different incidents it's been now?
Yeah, it's been multiple incidents. I think that, he, I think, like I said, I thought it was maybe he's been burned before. And also, the thing is, when he goes for submission, he really, he goes for it. He's not waiting for the ref to, like Joe Loazon did a breakdown. And he explained it best, where he says, as soon as he feels the opponent tapping, he knows that as soon as the ref touches him, he's going to let go. Whereas Palhares, he's holding on. And in some instances, he was cranking even more. Where he, and as soon as the ref touches, it's hard. I mean, once you get it going that much, and you're instinctively not waiting for the ref to pull you off, then I can see it being delayed a bit more, but not that much.
That's another great point. Is the ref's positioning? I know guys like Mike Beltran and Big John McCarthy, Herb Dean. They would not have stood there and tapped 9 times on the guy's back and the submission. They would have put him in a hold and removed him physically from the position.
Yeah, how much is it to blame for Mazzagatti? I mean, that he wasn't, he knows that they're already grappling. He should be pretty close to it, right?
But it was during the scramble, though.
Is it too loud?
Yeah.
All right.
It was during the scramble, though, so it happened. It happened suddenly.
Well, he rolled through. He knew it was coming because he had the reaction to the roll through, so he knew it was coming. But it was horrible, dude.
Well, but Jake Shields should have never punched Palhares after the fact.
Absolutely not.
Because now that hurts his case a little bit. Now he's probably going to get suspended. He's going to have repercussions, and he's going to come out also as a bad guy.
Yeah, he's already been temporarily suspended by Nevada Athletic Commission pending a hearing. They said they may talk about it on August 13th when they start the Nick Diaz Anderson Silva hearings.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty interesting. So anyways, moving back to UFC 190 we talked about earlier, what did you think about the Shogun Little Nog fight? I thought that Shogun, he held his own. He played a smart fight by going for the wrestling. His kicks looked really good. He wasn't able to outstrike him like I thought he would and beat him in the clinch like I thought he would, but I thought that his kicks looked incredible.
I thought that fight went as expected. I was not... There was room for me to be impressed by Shogun. I really wanted to get wowed. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be, he's back, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to be that guy. But after seeing that fight, I'm not convinced that he's back. I'm not convinced of this rebirth that him and Rafael Cordero have been talking about. And he definitely won, and it was impressive. But I just don't know if it's elite in that division.
Yeah, I think they both lost in that fight. I really do. You called it, though. You said that he would take him down. I think that was a good strategy towards in the beginning. He got rocked, and he was trying to recover. He did throw a couple leg kicks. It didn't seem to affect Nogueira that much. But for the most part, I really don't. Rampage is already calling out Shogun, which is crazy. He sees it as, I think it's an easy fight for Rampage. I hate to say that because I'm a huge Shogun fan. But he's young. He's 33. I really do believe he should maybe take a year off, and then just maybe heal, do some more training or something. I think he needs some time off to gather himself.
That fight does make sense, though. That does make sense because, to me, it on paper it seems like Rampage would be overconfident, like it could be an easy win. But Rampage does not do well against leg kicks, as Forrest Griffin proved. So,
well, he doesn't check leg kicks.
No, and Shogun would kick
in
his leg right through his other leg.
In Rampage's last fight, did he kick? God, what's that guy? The boxer? He's not punch drunk.
Fabio Maldonado.
Yeah, did he kick Fabio at all or no?
I can't
Fabinado
remember.
Maldonado.
No, he just beat him up.
No, I don't think he did.
He just beat him up.
Yeah, well, Rampage against Shogun, I think that it's more of a old school like Chuck versus Wandy type thing, where it's something that everyone loves seeing originally, and they know they can get off on the name value. Rampage is looking for big fights. Rampage thinks he can outstrike him, that he's faster, he can beat him to the punch, and he can knock him out. It's not the same Shogun. So I think that's why Rampage wants to fight.
If Rampage touches that chin, like I was saying before, I always use the granite analogy. Granite's really strong until it starts to fracture. Once it starts to fracture, you can't even see it. It's not visible. It's like internal fractures on granite. And then once that happens, all the internal integrity is gone.
Well, Shogun did get dropped and rocked early, but he was able to recover.
Yeah, he was able to recover. And then, like Adrian pointed out, definitely, he resulted to that takedown and the wrestling game. And that's what I was saying when we broke the fight down. Like, to me, the only thing Little Nog was going to be able to do was to touch him with hands. And why even risk that? Just take him out of his element and put him on his back. And once he did that, he was able to pretty much control him.
Yeah, so did you see the Bigfoot versus the Hulk, Sal Patlel?
I caught the highlights of that fight, yeah.
So Bigfoot Silva, he's back with a big KO.
Yeah, I was impressed by that. I was impressed by that because there was a lot of, I mean, maybe because there was a lot of room for improvement from his last fights, but, coming off of that, like Vitor said and a couple other people, maybe that coming off of that TRT stuff, it does take a long time for you to adjust your workouts where you're able to perform at the highest, level. Maybe it is. Maybe it was a flash in the pan. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know if he's going to make any noise in that division. That division's pretty stacked right now. So.
Did you see the Patrick Cummins versus Rafael Calavente? Oh my God, what a freaking fight!
Yeah.
That was one of the best fights I've seen in a long time. That
Yeah.
should have been on the pay-per-view, and they should have taken off the two Brazilian tough fights, the Claudelia versus Aguilar, and the Antonio Silva fight. Put those on the Fight Pass prelim, not even on Fox Sports.
Dude, Pat Cummins, like, every time he got touched, it was like a damaging punch. Every punch Feijão hit him with was like, I mean, he only landed like 30 punches, but each one of them like turned him into a freaking busted junkie. He looked horrible.
Speaking of looking horrible, Feijão, did you see his body compared to what his body looked like before they weren't doing strict steroid testing? He looked completely different, and he was so sluggish. He still had the power. But Cummings is incredible. And one of my favorite parts of the fight, did you see, I think it was in between the second round, or they did a stoppage, I think, at one point, and the doctor came in, and he goes, "I'm fine. I'm winning the fight."
Yeah.
He's like, "Get the fuck out of here. I'm winning the fucking fight." He didn't
That's
say that
awesome.
before, though, but he's like, "I'm winning the fight." That was incredible. Oh, my gosh. That's the type of fight that can make you a fan of MMA, where it's back and forth. There's a comeback. There's a struggle. That's why I love fighting. It's a mental and physical battle. And when you see people now off of steroids, I'm not saying Feijão was ever on it, even though he may or may not. Has he been suspended for it before?
I'm not sure if he's got a history of it. I know he's been suspected of it, of course. But that guy Cummings, he's got a pedigree of being just a tough guy that refuses to lose. I believe he was a walk-on at Penn State and ended up being an All-American.
He did test positive for Stanzenol for a steroid
that's the
against
big
Mike
one
Kyle.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, so he has tested positive in the past a long time ago.
But like I was saying about Cummings, he's a tank, dude. He just refuses to lose.
Exactly. But this is what I like about old school MMA, is that originally someone would gas out or mentally quit and it was over. But they fought to the finish. Like this with Feijão, it was just that he was outlasted by Cummins. But we got to see a brutal, incredible finish. We got to see a war of attrition. It was incredible. That was one of the and how the hell the Shogun Little Nog win fight of the night over Cummins Feijão?
I don't understand that either. But see, that's a fight. The thing that scares the shit out of me about the Cummins Feijão fight is I'm so glad we got a finish, because if that went to the judges' scorecard, I have a feeling Pat Cummings would have got screwed.
Yeah, I think he would have lost that fight.
I think he would have got screwed.
Because it was in Brazil, and he was fighting a Brazilian?
Damage,
yeah.
and in Brazil.
That's true.
But he
GSP,
won.
BJ Penn.
He won every single aspect of that fight. He won every single round. That was a dominant performance by Pat Cummings.
Yeah, it was incredible. It was a lot of fun to watch. Did you see the fight, Adrian?
Which one?
The Feijão. Oh, so
Yeah, I did.
So what about the Damian Maia versus Neil Magny? Everyone's talking about Damian Maia, how he's back. Damian Maia looks incredible. He can take down Lawler. What do you think about that?
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to mention, I'm glad he stuck to his roots. You know, it looks like he's going back to his jiu-jitsu for a while. He was training to stray away from it, you know, and it's obvious to him that he's realized that jiu-jitsu is the way to win the fights. So I'm excited to see his next fight. You know, it'll be harder, obviously, to take down Robbie Lawler. Robbie Lawler is one of the toughest guys in that division to take down. That's what he's, you know, he used to wrestle.
Yeah, people say he has no ground game. He used to be a wrestler. He just had poor submission defense.
Right, yeah. But, you know, getting him down is going to be the hardest part. But, you know, Robbie Lawler's also changed his game up now that he's down at ATT. So
yeah, he's in the best condition of his life, and he's one of the most fun fighters to watch. He's fighting Condit coming up, correct?
Yes.
And who did they announce? Since we had Matt Brown on the show, he's now fighting Kevin Gastelum.
Yeah, they're letting Gastelum go down to 70.
And also, there was a big fight announced today in Texas.
Yeah.
Johnny Hendricks against
T. Wood.
Against Tyrone Woodley. And is the winner going to be the number one contender?
Probably.
Yeah, there's title implications are on the line.
Yeah, I mean they're
yeah. So basically, if it's a good performance and the fans are hyped up, you'll get a title shot.
I don't know
possibly.
if you guys heard this or not, but I was reading late last night that a bunch of guys have left Alliance to go to Power MMA in Arizona. Mike Chandler, Miles Jury. Miles Jury's dropping down to 145. Really? A couple guys, yeah, they're going out to Power MMA with Ryan Bader and his team. So there's a little bit of an exodus going on between two teams.
So you think Alliance is starting to fall apart, or what are you saying?
I'm not sure. I think they're probably starting. You know, one of the trends that we're starting to realize is a lot of these fighter camps are very centered around weight classes. You know, your camp pretty much defines you by your sparring partners. So, you know, you have a guy like, for example, the Systems Training Center in Hawthorne, California. Most of their fighters are between 135 and 155. You know, you know, there's a few other camps that are very similar to that.
Do you think it has anything to do with the new girls that joined the team?
What new girls joined the team?
I believe Rebecca, according to the Reebok uniform, Rebecca Rollins, and I think Angela Magana.
They joined the Alliance?
I believe so. They were there training.
Well, I mean, it's pure speculation. There's no way of knowing what's going down in Alliance.
Because Dom Cruz was training with Rebecca Rollins.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know...
Or Beck Rollins, I mean.
I know Miles Jury and Mike Chandler are like two peas in a pod. They're really tight, and they're also really tight with Cruz. So I don't think there's any bad blood.
Do you think it's because Miles Jury just announced he's moving down in weight? So he possibly could be a future opponent.
That would make the most sense. He doesn't want to, you know, be in the same gym of possible opponent, future opponent.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
Because they have Alliance, or maybe they just want to change a pace. Who the hell knows? Because Alliance it's a huge facility, but it is pretty grungy, you know. But they have elite coaching, they have elite sparring. They have everything there.
Yeah, they have good
maybe
coaches.
the cost of living is dirt cheap in Arizona.
You know, I mean,
maybe they just want to go to a wrestling camp.
We're just speculating. It could be a lot of things. And Alliance is one of those gyms that there's a lot of guys that are the core group that was started with that gym, and there's a lot of guys that come and go through there, you know. So it could be simply that the guys that are leaving were only there temporarily. You know, they might have just been there for a couple, maybe 1 or 2 years, and then they went on to something different, you know?
I still think Dominique Cruz is going to be the champion once he's healthy.
Oh, that guy's incredible. Absolutely. Yeah, I think so, too. I think Michael Chandler's going to eventually be a champion, too.
Michael Chandler, I don't know about Chandler, but Dominique Cruz is incredible. Yeah. I think Chandler is just too undersized, unfortunately, and he's taken, like you said, it's chipped away at the granite. He's taken a lot of big shots.
Yeah, he takes a lot.
Dominique Cruz is just a special person.
Yeah, you can't touch Cruz.
So there's a big fight card coming up this weekend. UFC on Fox. Or I believe it's Fox Sports 1, actually. But anyways, there's let's see here. It's on August 8th from Nashville, Tennessee. 5-round main event fight. Glover Teixeira against Ovin St. Peru, OSP. Glover Teixeira is ranked number 4 still, overall in the division. And OSP is number 6, but he is coming up. He's had a lot of big fights, a lot of big wins. Also had a lot of losses mixed in here and there. He has 6 losses overall. Teixeira is still 22-4. Never been able to win the title, but he's always close. So this could possibly. Do you think this can put him in the title picture, or is he still too far away with Cormier, Jones possibly coming back? Who else is involved in the picture ahead of him? Gustafson.
I think Glover really.
Johnson, Rumble.
Glover needs the win. Glover needs this win badly. I don't think it puts him back in any contention. I don't
think he will move up if he wins. And I think that if he loses, he's gonna drop. He could drop out of the top at least the top 5 for sure, but probably down to even possibly the later half of the top 10, if not out of the top 10.
And OSP's riding a high right now. You know, he's
And we don't know what Glover's condition is going to be like.
we'll see.
OSP is going to come in phenomenal shape. The guy looks incredible. I mean, he's ridiculous. But in the main event, a fight that I think they've been going back and forth, you said, right?
Yeah, there's been a little animosity on Twitter between these two.
Well, we've got Beneil Dariush. We've got some video of him training at Kings MMA. So we're going to see how he looks, hear what he has to say about the fight, the co-main event against Micheal Johnson. So we've got the co-main event fighter from Kings MMA, Beneil Dariush.
Feel good. Training's good. Working hard, man. So that's kind of the plan. Just work hard, be ready for everything. Keeping prepared and putting it in God's hands. It's nice, you know. I just like being active. I had 4 fights last year, and in 3 months into the year, I had 2 more fights. So 6 fights, 15 months. I like that style. I need to be smart about it, though. Don't get me wrong, because the fight with Jim Miller, I started feeling very fatigued. So it's nice to be back. This time I had some time off for this fight. Coming back, I feel really strong. I feel really fast. I feel like I'm going to be my best version I've ever been this fight.
What strengths do you see in Micheal Johnson's game?
Great striker. He's fast, explosive, good athlete. Good head movement. He's got good wrestling. I haven't seen much from his jiu-jitsu, but you know, he's a mixed martial artist. I'm sure he works on that too. I'm gonna find a finish, whether it's standing or on the ground. I'm gonna find a finish. I'm gonna do what I do every fight. I'm gonna mix it up. He's not gonna know if I'm striking or if I'm looking for takedowns, and that's when I'm gonna get him. The training at Kings is it's unbelievable. For me to be here, I truly believe it's a blessing from God. And having Hoffa, having Fabricio as examples, it's amazing. I have those guys examples. I have guys who are behind me who are just trying to catch me. You know, they're trying to pass me up in the gym. I have guys who are just strikers. For example, I have Giga Chikadze. He fights glory only. I have guys who do just jiu-jitsu, world champion in jiu-jitsu. So I'm considered one of the better prospects here, but if you think about it, in every aspect of the game, there's someone here better than me. There's someone here better than me in striking. There's someone here better than me in wrestling. There's someone here better than me in jiu-jitsu. So having that, I think it helps me grow a lot. I'm always chasing somebody.
What about Benny versus Micheal Johnson?
Micheal Johnson, another good fight, top 5 in the war in his division. But I believe Benny, he worked hard for a long time with me, for almost 6 years and a half. We worked together. I believe this is Benny's moment. As soon as he stops inside the octagon, he's gonna put a great show. The same way he beat Jim Miller in his last fight. He was underdog. He stepped in the octagon. He proved for all. You know, underdog is just a name about somebody. It's not about the way you fight, the way you work. And I believe Ben is gonna beat him, and he's gonna prove he's gonna be top 5 coming up.
Feel good. Training's good.
Micheal Johnson is touting himself as a top prospect, someone who he says has a lot more experience than Beneil Dariush. Johnson's won 4 fights in a row, but he hasn't really been that active. They've been spread out over about 3 years. Even though he did fight a few months ago, he was only fighting once a year. Beneil's been fighting he's fought 6 times in 17 months. He's much more active. Also, he says, he won't be able to finish me on the ground. He's lost 6 fights of his 8 losses by submission.
True,
Beniel is a black belt jiu-jitsu world champion.
In Johnson's defense, he has had somewhat of a resurrection to his career since his second.
But he has lost 6 fights by submission.
He has. And
he's also, of his 4 wins in a row, he had 1 finish and went to 3 decisions. So it's not like he's knocking guys out left and right. He had 1 finish out of 4 fights. Lastly, he says he has faced bigger opponents. I think he does have the advantage there. He has some huge wins. He has wins over Danny Castillo, who is on a slide now, but he had wins over Danny Castillo, Tony Ferguson. That's a big win.
That is a big win.
Joe Lazan, Melvin Gillard, Edson Barboza. He's going through a murderer's row. So I'm going to give him credit there, although Beniel did beat Jim Miller his last fight, who has beat a who's who of names. So I give him the edge in experience. And in terms of tougher opponents, how do you see this fight playing out?
Ready? This is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to have you read them back to me again. Go back and read the first name on that list that Micheal Johnson beat, or those murderers row of impressive.
The last 4, or just in his career?
The last 5 big names. That
I think the last 3 of his last 4 fights were.
Okay, go ahead and name them.
Joe Lozon.
Joe Lozon.
Huge.
Joe Lozon, great fighter. Towards the end of his career, Michael Johnson should beat Joe Lozon.
Okay, and keep in mind, these fights, even though his last 4 fights, they've been spread out over like 3 years.
Right.
Melvin Gillard, that is a big one.
Melvin Gillard.
He's a tough guy. Melvin Gillard's a tough guy.
Melvin Gillard throws heavy hands, but you know what, man? He's Chinny LaRue. The guy gets knocked out very easily.
Chinny LaRue. Chinny fucking LaRue.
No disrespect intended.
No disrespect. Bro.
Yeah.
Hey, Chinny. Hey, Chinny LaRue. No disrespect.
But to be honest, Michael Johnson's a different fighter than Melvin Gillard. Melvin Gillard's a brawler, a guy down, who's World Series of fighting in that range, in the middle of those ranks.
But he does have 50 or so pro
He
fights.
does,
Like 60
and
pro
again,
fights. He's a true veteran.
the granite's fractured.
True, but he won a decision, I believe, anyway. But his last fight, he won a decision against Edson Barboza. He claims Edson Barboza is the fastest guy I could ever face, so it looks like Beniel is quicksand compared to him.
That's the one win on there that could. The only way you can't be impressed by it is if you consider it like an anomaly, like a rare, whatever, just the stars lined up. I'm not saying it that way. I watched that fight and Michael Johnson won it. But Beneil Dariush, to turn to him, is a guy that has impressed at every single level. He impresses in the gym. He impresses in the UFC. He impresses everywhere he goes. The guy is a straight up fucking killer. And Michael Johnson's in a lot of trouble in this fight. And I'm not saying that because I'm trying to ride on Benny's, because he did the show. I'm just saying that I don't see Michael Johnson beating Beneil Dariush in any way, except for maybe piecing out a decision with his hands, or maybe a lucky haymaker. But I don't see any fractures in Beneil's granite.
I think the one thing that Michael may have is the speed. I'm not sure if Benny's as quick as Michael, but I think that as far as power, they both are pretty equal. The grappling, people underestimate Benny. Benny, I don't know if people know this. I think he grappled against Hickson's sons one time in the competition, and he went to the distance with him. So he's a legit jiu-jitsu guy. So people don't realize how well he's on the ground. So.
Yeah, I think he was a world champion at purple belt and brown belt.
At brown belt, he had a huge match against Hickson's son. So
what it comes down to is Beneil Dariush is a guy whose pedigree, in my eyes, eventually I see him being at least in the top 3 or a title shot on the line. I don't ever see that from Michael Johnson.
Well, Michael Johnson, it says here he's ranked number 5 in the lightweight division on the UFC website, but I don't know how that's accurate, but it says he's number 5 now, and Beniel is ranked at number 11. So this is a big fight for Beniel in terms of ranking.
That goes to the point you made before. Michael's fought bigger names, and
it's just. I think it's justified. I know you were saying Joe Lozon is. You're saying it's towards his end, but I believe he's getting better. Joe Lozon just came off a win against Gomi.
Against Gomi, that was awesome. I know Joe Lozon's such a fan favorite. Everyone loves that guy too.
But he has those 2 or 3 fights in there where he just didn't look too good.
He's not a champion. He's not going to be the champ.
He lost to
he's a fan favorite.
Alquinta's no joke, right? And then who else did he?
You fucking booing me?
He bought Chiesa, and he beat Chiesa and Danzig. So there you go. I think I think that was a legit win.
So those are pretty much the only fights. Other than actually, there's a female fight, but we don't really want to have time to get into that. We're going to switch topics. Sarah McMahon against Nunes. I think Nunes will beat her. McMahon is so one-dimensional. She just tries to shoot a takedown. She has weak striking. I don't think she has a good finish ability, and I just think that Nunes is a beast. She is a beast.
I see this going the exact opposite.
Yeah, so do I.
Well, I see you just going full potato.
I see Sarah McMahon
blanketing
going
her.
full potato.
Yeah, I see her blanketing her the whole time.
Playing a little Bubba the Love Sponge, being a bit of a love sponge, and laying on top. Here's the deal. I'm going to lay on top of you. She's going to lay on top of her for 3 rounds, get a 5-round decision and a bloody nose.
I think you guys are underestimating her ability. Look at this. Sure, she lost to Kat Zagano, but Nunes just destroyed Shayna Baszler. Destroyed Baszler. Destroyed her. She destroyed Sheila Gaff. She destroyed Jermaine Duradamine, and she beat Shayna Baszler. That's a murderer's row.
She lost to Sarah DeLelio 5 fights ago.
You're not telling me that Shayna Baszler and Sheila Gafford's a murderer's row in the WMMA division?
No.
Well, one of them is part of the Four Horsemen, right? So
Or horsewomen.
woman, right?
Horsewomen.
Yeah, that's true. That
And
is
listen,
true.
dude, Shayna may have not had a couple wins and a couple rough outings in her past few, but let's not forget she is a freaking pioneer in
Well,
the sport.
that's what I was just about to say. That
And she has
talking about
15 wins in like 27 fights or something. She has a
somebody
lot
at the end of her
fights.
career. You know, the thing about Shayna, she got beat by a girl who just started MMA 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Although
I think it comes down to athleticism issue and just
Well, the other thing that that I always am impressed about with Shayna and Roxanne and those girls like that, like they did MMA before it was cool to do MMA,
Right.
And they're girls, you know what I mean? So it's like they were there in the very beginning, and they were fighting as women. Which, hats off to them, man. That's freaking.
That's true.
That's baller.
Okay, well, we're gonna switch topics here. I'm gonna play a song. Hold on a second here. Get ready, Clinch.
Sounds like a good.
Oh my God.
Sounds like the good.
Okay, so Clinch, give us your medical marijuana strain of the week review, real quick.
Oh wow, we're just going straight into it,
I'm
huh?
gonna go straight into it. Yeah. Why not? We'll do it live. Straight in the week comes to you from VMC Medical Center in Venice, California, and it is called. I have it right here, actually. It is called Sirens. It's a collaboration between Rome from the band Sublime, the singer Rome, and it's called Royal Jelly, and it's called Sirens. This shit. Oh my God! One little dab of this stuff, and it's like you start like purple elephants. It's good stuff.
You start hallucinating?
Oh, not hallucinating,
Wow.
but you definitely get a little pie-eyed, and this guy turn into everything starts talking a little bit like Cheech, you know.
All right, well, what about the flavor?
Flavor hits you really good, tastes really good. It's got like a little bit of a lemony taste to it, like a little bit of citrus.
Wait.
And is it indica, sativa?
It's a straight up indica. So if you
wow.
are going to smoke this one, don't go to work. It's like it prescription entails Xbox and PlayStation 4. Those are like the only two things you're allowed to do.
So I don't do wax. Let me ask you: can you actually taste? You can taste it. You can,
hell yeah!
You can. So
Oh,
just
hell
like
yeah.
flour, you can
Yeah.
taste. You can taste
Hell
it.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
All right, Adrian, do you have a beer of the week for us?
Oh yeah. Let me get it. Hold on. So what I brought today is Smog City. It's a coffee porter. It's the type of beer is called the porter. Have you guys had porter before, John?
I don't really drink
Yes,
beer,
I've
so
had porter.
You had porter. Okay. So are you guys familiar with stout?
Yes.
You guys nope. Okay.
Guinness.
Guinness.
I know I'm not a beer drinker.
You've never heard of Guinness?
I have, but I don't know what
so then
stout
you're
is.
familiar with stout.
So what I found out is that porter is actually a type. Actually, stout is a type of porter. Okay, and there's different grades of porters, and the reason why they call it stout was because they have the different variations as far as like color, right? So the darkest one was considered stout porter, but they changed it just to stout, so everybody's familiar with it. This has a coffee flavor to it, so I'll pour some out for you guys, so you guys can talk about beer.
Yeah. This is going to be my favorite part of the show, Aaron, like Adrian's segment, because we get to drink alcohol.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, it looks like Coca-Cola too, my
So
favorite.
And then I'll have.
why don't you go ahead?
I'm good. So just you taste it and talk
Oh,
about it.
you got to have a little bit.
I'm good.
You gonna try it? No? Okay,
No.
good. All right.
Are you okay, Aaron?
Yeah.
You want a kiss? You want a hug?
No.
So you can really smell the coffee if you
Oh my God, yeah, it does. It smells like coffee.
Can I smell it?
yeah, you can smell it. Smell it. It's actually, what's weird, the good thing about this porter,
Actually, that does smell like coffee. That's interesting.
it's if it's not a stout, it's not as heavy. A stout seems to be a little bit more heavy, and it's not as creamy.
Oh, it's not heavy at all.
No, the thing is it's actually really dark, but it's actually light on the tongue, And so this is actually the next batch of beer I'm gonna make. I'm gonna make a porter, but I'm gonna barrel age it so it has a little bit of a smoke to it.
There's I was gonna say there's no aftertaste really to it at all.
So, what kind of situation is this for? Like a party, just hanging out, or when you have a steak, or?
You definitely want to have this with something like a steak. It's a very, very, it's almost like actually, I'd rather have this more of a dessert.
Yeah, I was gonna say like this would be a dessert beer.
Dessert beer. So like once you're done with your meal, this is something you cap it off. You definitely don't want to start with this because it'll overwhelm everything else except for maybe an IPA. But yeah, it's more of like if you were to consider this like wine, it'd be like a port, right? So
It's freaking good, whatever it is.
Okay, guys.
Oh, Jesus.
We're going to talk about a sad subject here. Switch topics to Rowdy Rody Piper passed away. You can hear the bagpipes playing. Clinch, why don't you tell me about your childhood and about how Rowdy... Yeah, you guys...
It's a hot rod.
Do that one more time for the audience.
It's for hot rod.
So you can hear that they're having a glass of beer in honor of the hot rod. Hold on, let me...
Yeah,
Get this off here.
Real sad. Real sad. I'm real tight with Gene LaBelle, and I've spent a lot of time talking to Gene LaBelle about Roddy Piper and going up. People don't know this about Roddy. Well, I guess some people do now, but he was a black belt in judo under Gene LaBelle.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a legitimate grappler. Gene LaBelle was also the reason Roddy Piper became a professional wrestler. He was trying to make it. He was what was known as a jobber on the circuit. He would go in and get his ass kicked for a couple bucks here and there, but he was skinny. He wasn't really big, and Gene was the one that kind of pushed him in to go with the hot rod gimmick. And he did at the Olympic Auditorium, where Gene's mom was the head of the Olympic Auditorium. So Roddy used to wrestle over there. And one of the best stories ever was he used to insult all the Mexican fans.
Really?
Oh yeah, he would come out and insult the Mexican fans. And he did this one thing. He said, "I'm gonna make it right to all the Mexican fans out there." So he's like, "I'm gonna play your national anthem on the bagpipes." So he came out and played La Cucaracha on the bagpipes, and
That's
it's still to
hilarious.
this day. It's like one of the classic all-time. He was a genius at being a wrestler that would play the audience against him. He was a classic heel, and one of my heroes.
Let me ask you
Amazing.
something. You said that one of the reasons why he was your hero was as a kid that you. I mean, it's not a big deal now because you don't look the same anymore. You totally transferred. But as a kid, you were bow-legged. I think you were had a lazy eye.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
You had a hunchback. You had scoliosis.
I graduated high school at
And-
112 pounds.
Hold on,
You
Aaron's
had-
not done. Aaron's not done. Hold on.
You had a
Hold on.
you had a speech impediment. You had a weird haircut.
a little lisp.
You had a lot of issues. You had a lisp.
Acne, back knee.
You had horrible acne. You didn't want to shower in the locker room. There was you had a weird childhood.
I had back hair on my face.
How did Rowdy Piper? You had a unibrow. How did Rowdy Piper? How did you relate to him? And you also you were weighed 110 pounds soaking wet, so you didn't know martial arts back then, did you?
I had started to get a little bit into the martial arts when I was around 12, 13 years old.
But you're
before that,
you're limited at when you're bow-legged and cross-eyed, though.
yeah, you're limited and I'm not joking. Like some of the people in Babylon, New York, where I grew up, will tell you, I weighed under 120 pounds when I graduated.
And you were how tall? Over 6 foot?
No, when I graduated high school, I was like 5'9". But between graduation of high school and my birthday, which is in September, I went from 5'9" to 6'3".
Jeez.
In
Well,
like 2.5 months. It's crazy.
So what did Rowdy Piper do that you used to use to get out of situations where people would make fun of you for being bow-legged or cross-eyed or whatever?
Well, I mean, even if you look back at Piper's wrestling career, he doesn't have a lot of titles, and you're hard-pressed to remember like a lot of memorable matches because he really spent most of his career on the microphone insulting people, and that was something that I was really good at, and when I got picked on, I thought, you know what, I can't match you with bullet for bullet. You're a big guy and you're gonna beat my ass. But what I can do is I can make you look like a fucking shitheel in front of everybody. So that's what I would try to do. I would try to freaking pull back and start nailing people, and be like, oh yeah, you can kick my ass, but everybody here is going to be really impressed by you beating the shit out of a 72-pound guy. What's the matter? No watermelon were available? Watermelon's going to fight back more than I will.
Oh, man, I thought you were going into some kind of weird joke, and I was like,
Oh,
watermelon?
no.
The hell is a
I'm just
watermelon?
saying, like, I'm useless when it comes to fighting at that size. So Roddy Piper taught me that, you can really do some damage with your tongue, and I always was amazed at how he did it. The guy was legend, and in the world, I hate saying stuff like this. A lot of people think he was just a silly, dumb professional wrestler, but for me, personally, my world is not as cool as it was, and that sucks.
And then final word on that. People think wrestling, I know it obviously is fake. Those guys freaking take a beating. that wrestling is insane. The way they take hits, and even though it's predetermined outcomes, some of the Brock Lesnar fights, or excuse me, matches in WWE look like actual real fights. He gets busted the hell open. John Cena just got his nose broken. Most of these guys wind up crippled with brain damage. Horrible issues.
Did you guys see that Dana White got called out on that? On the wrestling is fake? Did you guys hear about that?
No, what happened? Well, but just let me finish real quick on that,
No,
and then we'll get to that, though. Just on Rowdy Piper, I just want to say, we wish your family the best. We hope you rest in peace, and you were a great inspiration to a lot of us, and your character, a lot of us could relate to it as children growing up, and it meant a lot to us, and, we're with you. Best wishes to you and your family. And Adrian, can you go back to what you were just bringing up?
Oh, I was hoping you guys knew more about it. I actually just heard the headline where it said that, because Dana White was talking about how wrestling is fake recently. I don't know. Somebody must have been on Twitter, must have gone back and forth, and then he got called on it by some of the actual WWE fighters.
People get confused. The vocabulary of human beings, especially in this country, it's dangerously, retardedly stupid, because there's a difference between scripted and fake. And one of the things that drives me nuts is someone, these people that infantilize football players and baseball players and everything else like that, they'll look down at a kid who loves wrestling and be like, it's fake. How come you like that guy? That kid loving John Cena is no different than a kid loving Nolan Ryan growing up. It is the attachment and the love and the idolatry that these people set up. When you're a kid and you throw your reins to a wagon, that shit's real. You know what I mean? Like, I became a Jets fan, an Islander fan, and a Mets fan when I was 3-4 years old, and I still am to this day. Die hard, and I will always be. You know what I mean? When you pick,
next question,
you pick your team, you're there.
Yeah. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies.
This is clinch real quick, a video clinch.
It's still real to me, damn it. I mean,
oh man,
the best part of that whole beginning is like, I want to thank you for saying what needed to be said.
Oh man. Okay, so there's a huge political debate coming up.
Oh God. Who's in this one? Is this the Republicans?
You're fired.
Oh,
you're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired.
Donald Trump is going to be in the presidential debate. He is the front runner. He is the leader going into the debate tomorrow. How excited are you to watch this? How cool is this going to be? Just for the pure shock value of it, not whether or not you're rooting for him. It's bringing so much attention to the debate. This is awesome.
I am utterly and completely at a loss for words.
Well, Adrian, you're of Hispanic descent. Are you polling for Donald Trump, or what do you feel about Donald Trump?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I mentioned this before. I think he's just doing it for attention. I'm not sure if he really believes everything he's saying. I'm not sure he can win the election with the stuff he's saying now, or he might be able to explain himself later on. But I think he's just trying to get, he's number one, right? He got the attention he needed, right? Also, they're saying, what's his name is one the owner of the Mavericks,
Mark Cuban.
Mark Cuban, yeah, he wants to throw himself in the hat for VP, So, did you hear about that?
No, that would be incredible. I don't know how that would turn out, but that'd be awesome.
You ever see Scanners when the dude's head explodes?
You love Donald Trump. You do a great Donald Trump impression.
You're fired, Aaron. Pack your shit, you're fired.
Well, why don't you like Mark Cuban?
Hey, Adrian, I really don't like the way the sound's going tonight. You're fired.
That's pretty good.
It is pretty good, except for when he leans in that close to do the different voice instead of saying the same spot.
Get the fuck out of here, you're fired. That was my.
So do you think that Donald Trump is really anti-Hispanic or anti-Mexican?
No, I don't think he's anti-Hispanic or anti-Mexican. I think he's against illegal immigration, and I think a lot of candidates are against that. And, that's a typical platform for a Republican to run on, just because, the majority of Republicans are against illegal immigration. So I don't know. Again, I don't know to what extent he meant by those words. I think that we'll see in the future. I mean, it'll come out eventually. Once they start to get the primary, and once they start to remove some of these candidates, I'm myself. We'll see what happens. So.
I'm gonna give a quick public service announcement to all the voices, all the listeners, the ears out there that are listening to my voice right here. Please, 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 take a look at Atlantic City if you're thinking about voting for Donald Trump, okay? A president needs to be good when things are good and when things are bad. And when things are bad, Donald Trump pulls his names off of buildings and gets the fuck out of town. He's in this election to promote his own name. He's not in this election to make America great. He does not give a shit about our country unless he's making money off of it.
I hope he sues you for saying that because Donald Trump is going to make America great again.
Oh my God.
Make America great again. Make America great again.
Aaron, why are you still here? I fired you.
All right, so moving on. Remember last week we talked about Cecil the Lion?
That's pretty good.
I like it when you call him Cecil.
Well, remember we talked about Cecil the Lion last week? Yeah. So there's another...
He makes it, ethnic.
There's another... there's another huge... not poaching, but hunting incident that's being investigated in the news. Have you ever heard of the show Alaska: The Last Frontier?
Oh, hell yeah. I love that show.
So, obviously, a lot of people don't realize that they're actually rich as fuck, and that Jewel is the daughter of the guy.
Oh, yeah.
And they do all their own music and songs, and
they're like yodelers or something.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, they did this thing where they were flown in a helicopter out to a location to hunt a bear. And in Alaska, it's not just illegal, apparently, to shoot a bear from a helicopter, which they didn't do. It's illegal to even get dropped off in a location that's obscure to hunt a bear.
Really?
So they're being investigated. The production crew is being investigated from Discovery, and they're reviewing footage to see exactly what they did.
Hold on a second. I'm confused. I understand, because I know in upstate New York, you're not allowed to shoot from side of a road. Like, you can't just see a deer and shoot from your car. Because one of the things that they say is people use their lights to blind a deer and make it not move, and then they shoot stationary targets.
It's called spotlighting.
Yeah, so I understand, like, there's certain rules to hunting, and I understand not being able to shoot one from a helicopter because, shit, you'd just be able to, like, fucking go, there it is, boom! You know, and that's not really hunting, that's more like killing. But you're not allowed to take a helicopter to like a spot, camp out for a night, and then kill a bear the next day. I'm asking, is there like a time period?
Well, no. Let me rephrase that. Actually, let me rephrase that. They used a helicopter to track down a bear.
Oh, okay. So they tracked it.
Let me clarify that. Yeah, so they tracked the bear via helicopter, then got put down.
Was the bear's name Cecil, and did they lure it?
The bear's name was not Cecil, believe it or not.
Was there like a...
it was Bronco Greyguard.
Was there like a big like meat pie hanging from the helicopter on a string, like luring the bear out?
Yeah, pretty much. They went like a half mile outside the park reservation, just like with Cecil.
I picture like the big rack of ribs from the Flintstones.
So let me ask you a question. Big deal or no big deal?
I think it's kind of a technicality to me. Unless they were actually actively stalking it, I think that's fucked up.
They were actively stalking it, which is a major no-no under Alaskan law. So
yeah,
big deal, no deal.
They broke the rule.
As a guy who loves to shoot and possibly go hunting and stuff, what do you think, Adrian?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'd have to look more into the story. I really can't say without knowing the details because I'm really not familiar with how they. I mean, from my understanding, it doesn't make sense why they would chase it with a helicopter. I mean,
because they're hunting irresponsibly and want to have good footage for Discovery Channel.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, really, if there's laws in place, there's better people that know what should take place, and if they're breaking those laws, then of course I should be.
Can I put it in terms that they understand it?
Sure.
Yodi, guilty as fuck.
Exactly. It's no different than hunting Cecil the bear or the lion. I mean, it's no different. They're poachers. They're no better than those poachers.
But
they're no better than a goddamn.
Actually,
poacher.
they're worse.
The
They're
bear
dumb
has
fucks
feelings.
because they brought Discovery Channel cameras with them to do it. You know, they're like, not only are they stupid enough to commit a crime, but they're like dumb enough to provide the evidence too. So that's fucking retarded.
Or what's her name that got arrested?
Oh, Chanel West Coast. She from the Rob Dyrdek show Ridiculousness and the show. What other show is it? Ridiculousness and Fantasy Factory.
Fantasy Factory, yep.
She got arrested. And she's claiming, they roughed me up, but she was making a scene. She punched and kicked an officer. She was fighting people in the club.
I've been in 17 seasons.
Yeah.
I've been in 17 seasons.
Yeah, she said, I've been on 17 seasons of
she
TV.
Was screaming that to the cops while she was getting arrested. Like,
and
that makes a difference.
he's like, good for you, good for you.
Entitled bitch.
Yeah, so what do you think about entitled women in L.A.? You live in L.A.
Entitled bitch. There should be like an alarm. There should be like entitled bitch.
Well, the crazy
entitled
part,
bitch. It should go off like every time someone commits that foul. You know.
The crazy part was that the cop says, "Well, I'm willing to let you go even after you kicked me. It's when you punched me when I drew the line." You know. I'm like, man, that's insane. Why did they even get that treatment? You know.
That cop's really nice. I would have drew the line.
Oh, it turns out that was actually a security guard, but he made a citizen's arrest after she kicked him, and he said, "You're done." It turns out both those guys with guns.
Oh, they were not.
Yeah,
they're not.
No, they were security guards actually.
Oh, they're not cops.
No, but they made us after. That's why they said, we'll let you go. But after that, they're like, no, we've had enough.
I'm not sure if they can do citizens arrest. I mean,
of course they can. If you call the cops and if someone assaults you and is fighting people in the club, are you kidding me? And they're drunk and intoxicated, that's what their job is.
I mean, their job is to throw the people out. I'm not sure if it's to arrest people,
Well, that's why he said, I'll let you go. They don't want attention like this at the club.
Right.
But he said, you know what? You kicked me. I was going to let you go. You just punched me. You're done.
Yeah.
He's like, enough is enough. She assaulted him, and she's causing a scene.
Well, that
He
makes
gave her
sense.
a chance.
That makes sense why the cop, as soon as the actual cop shows up, he's like, look, we're just going to let you go. Just get it together. You can go home with your friend and whatnot. And
But then he wound up taking her into the car, and she got booked, I believe.
Oh, she did? Okay.
Yeah,
I believe the report should be assault with fists, punch, and 17 seasons.
Okay, well,
Hit it with all 17 seasons.
do you guys have anything you want to talk about before we wrap up here tonight? I'm curious. I know we talked about this a lot. Palhares, do you think that he is mentally challenged? Like, that's kind of crazy. Do you think he's an idiot savant?
Listen, I'm not.
And be respectful about it, because we're not making fun of we're not making fun of handicap or mentally challenged people.
And that's
at all.
another thing I want to
It's
start.
kinda
I'm
interesting.
from Long Island, New York, so I use the word retarded, and I don't mean it, and I probably should change the way I shouldn't use that, but I don't mean it to refer to people. I mean it to refer to people that are completely normal and they do stupid things intentionally. I don't think Palhares fits in that category. I honestly think he's got a mental. I'm going to say it lightly. I think it's a blockage at the least. At the most, it could be a disability or an impairment. I honestly think that his manager got one thing right when he said something just clicks off and he loses himself. That's not an excuse. If you do that, you're not allowed to be a fighter. This is organized fighting. It's not street fighting.
As much as people criticize him, I'm not for dirty fighting, but I will say every time he fights, I'm excited to see him, just because he makes jiu-jitsu like. He makes people fear jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? He legitimizes it in some ways. But
and that's why another organization is going to take a chance on him.
Right.
That's why his manager said, if you don't want us, release him.
Right,
Because he
right.
knows he can get signed. He did it in the UFC. He went to WSOF.
Yeah.
He dominated, won several fights by submission. Now he's out at WSOF probably. Release him, he says. He'll go to ONE FC. He'll go somewhere in Asia.
But you guys remember what Alan Belcher did to his leg locks?
Well, yeah, he's possibly greased. So did Nate Marquardt.
Oh, really?
Well, I'm just kidding.
And also, that
he
was
says that's what he said though.
That was the other thing. What's his name? Jake Shields was greased as well. That's what he was accusing him of.
Really?
Yeah. In another interview afterwards, his response was Jake cheated as well. He was greasier than an okra.
Oh,
what's that?
It's a vegetable.
It's a vegetable. I don't know if the translation was correct, but that's exactly what the quote says.
Is it a potato?
No.
What did you think about the simultaneous main events? World Series of Fighting, they had the right as this time that the Shields Palhares fight was going on, they had the handicap match between the Diaz brothers and Khabib. And I think Ray and Ali were ringside for that one, showing their alliances. They didn't want to watch Palhares and Shields fight. They wanted to watch the handicap match. That was a good one.
Well, did you see what happened in the mall? It happened again, where the guy started throwing chairs at him and stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I think that this definitely leads the way to a great promo video if they want to have those two fight.
Oh, I think they should definitely have those two fight,
But we'll see what happens. I wonder if the commission's going to suspend them or if there's going to be any repercussions, because if you're a professional fighter, you're held to a stricter code of conduct, and this happened at a sanctioned event.
Yep.
So they might have to do something. Who knows?
If they don't, this is...
And Khabib was they were, I think, all corner people. So the Diaz brothers that got banned, obviously.
Yep. This is the way I have an impersonation of how it went down. Ray's over here holding one guy back. Ali's over here holding the other guy back. And Dana White's miles away counting money, smiling, going, yeah. Well, thanks for setting me up, guys. I'm going to knock them all down.
I'm not sure if Dana's happy, because that actually got more attention to WSOF than the actual main event. That's
All right, guys. Well, we're going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week, same time, same channel. This is the Brutally Honest Show.